You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am joined by Chris Robbins at Detroit BC on Twitter, the one and the only. He's here. We've got a great show for you. We're going to have a lot of fun. Chris, how you doing on a beautiful Sunday?
I'm fantastic. What a week it was. A lot of ups, a few downs, but we're here. I just want to say, make sure you tell folks, what they mean to you, if you love them, if you like them, and just really take it all in. Stop, put your feet up, smell the roses, and let's watch some week 3 today and just enjoy ourselves.
Absolutely. That was one of the things the fantasy community kind of got hit with some very tragic news yesterday, the passing of Tags, Mike Tagliaria from Fantasy Pros. Unfortunately passed away yesterday. So a lot of love goes out to the folks over at Fantasy Pros, all of his family, all of his friends. Our thoughts are with you, and we certainly send our condolences there. So, but let's go ahead and let's go ahead and talk about some fantasy football here. There's an interesting slate of games this week. Some games that are going to be some defensive slugfests is kind of how I see it. Some games that are going to be some track meets. So you've got kind of a mixture of both, and it should be some very interesting football to watch here. What are some of the games that you're kind of keying in on here early on a Sunday?
I love the New York Football Giants hosting the Atlanta Falcons in this one. The over-under is at 47 points even. I've talked about the New York Giants till I've been literally blue in the face all week, mentioned in my articles, in my content. I also love the Jets at Denver, and it's going to be completely one-sided, but I'm way in on Denver today, actually 405. The over-under in that one is 41.5. And I'm also in love with Miami at the Vegas Raiders here. So to be fair with you, aside from the Giants and the Atlanta Falcons, who on earth gives a crap about the Jets at the Denver Broncos or Miami at the Vegas Raiders? So I do. So here, keep it here, because we're going to get into some wildly unpopular plays here.
Well, first of all, I'm a big fan of the Broncos-Jets game, but that's because I'm out here in Denver, and Denver is the hometown team. So, Broncos country hashtag. Let's go. I like that matchup there a lot. I've got a couple that I'm really kind of be scoreboard watching there a lot, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think the Broncos will win that game, but there's another AFC West matchup going on that's going to be pivotal for how the rest of the season kind of shakes up, and that's the Chargers and the Chiefs, and I'll get into that matchup a little bit later as well. Another, divisional matchup there that's going to play out for the AFC South is the Titans and the Colts are playing today, and that should be an interesting one. Some interesting wrinkles for fantasy in that one as well, as far as I can see and I can tell. And then another one that I'm going to be very interested to see is your Detroit Lions playing the Baltimore Ravens on that one. That should be an interesting matchup there as well. And, we're going to go through and we're going to hit up some DFS plays along the way as well and all of that. But if you guys haven't done so, do us a favor, hop over on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe, hit the ring button. Detroit BC is on Twitter. Give him a follow at Detroit BC. You can see the tag right there. Hop on there. He's a great follow, great advice. Chris, where do you, which game would you like to really kind of start off here?
I want to go right to New York and New Jersey. East Rutherford, I believe, is where they play. Giants and the Jets share the same stadium. So Atlanta is at the Jets, as I've said. Atlanta's getting plus 2.5 points in this one. The over-under is at about 47. Now, when you look at this game, I mentioned, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Barkley is only $6,000 on FanDuel, $6,500 on DraftKings. Now, this is without a doubt the cheapest we've ever seen Saquon Barkley. And after today, he'll never be as cheap as he is now. That's why I mentioned him in bottom of the barrel. Same with Daniel Jones. And as the week has progressed, you've seen a lot of folks go all in on the New York Football Giants, and it's good to see. Again, I'm not an egomaniac to think what I do and what I say is large enough to sway ownership percentages, or like people are copying what I'm doing. That's not the case. It's nice to see people catching up to that stuff because it's such a good play. Now, the number one question I've been asked here is, well, Daniel Jones, Barkley, and even Kenny Galladay, who's $5,600 on FanDuel, $5,600 on DraftKings, these guys, their ownership percentages are going to be through the roof. There's literally nothing to be made money-wise from these guys. That's not true. If you look at, I tweeted out yesterday, Daniel Jones' ownership percentage is like 8% on both sites. Saquon Barkley is the only red flag here. Last I looked, Eric, he was about 20% owned on FanDuel, which is all right. It's a few red flags, better suited for cash games here. But Kenny Galladay is under 10% owned. And the play for me this afternoon is Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is $5,400 on FanDuel. He's only, I believe, $4,800 on DraftKings here. Now, Slayton, he is the least owned out of all these guys in terms of DFS formats. I believe he's like 2 or 3% owned on FanDuel and on DraftKings. So to me, you look at these wide receivers, Kenny Galladay, Shepard, or Darius Slayton, I would play Darius Slayton out of all three of them. So I love the idea of a Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Darius Slayton stack. And if you wanted to get really wild, my notes are right here. Go with Kyle Rudolph as well, the tight end. What the heck? Atlanta's 26th overall against opposing tight ends. $4,500 on FanDuel, $3,000 on DraftKings. So I have the final score here looking something alike. Let me find it here on the other page. Sometimes I have too many notes. It works against me. I have the Giants winning this one like 34-17 here. So I think the Giants do very well. They put up a ton of points. They do exactly what we think they're going to do. And it's one of those cases in week 3 where things happen exactly how we thought they were going to do. On the Atlanta Falcons side of the ball, I think Matt Ryan is very much in play on both sides. $7,100 on FanDuel, and he is, let me bring that up here. I believe he's like $6,800 on DraftKings here. And I think you can pencil Matt Ryan in for like 300 yards and 2 touchdowns here. Personally speaking, Derek, Matt Ryan, aside from Jared Goff, and I know we'll hopefully get to that, Matt Ryan is my favorite, cheap lower end quarterback on the slate and on the schedule this afternoon.
Yeah, I really like a lot of matchups there as well. One of the things that kind of stands out to me is, a lot of folks are kind of down on Kyle Pitts early in the season. And, this is kind of what I expected his season to start out with, was a slower start to this, but he has a very favorable matchup. When you look at it, the Giants are giving up, they're ranked 4th best to play against when you're talking on tight end plays there in half point PPR scoring as far as points allowed to the tight end position. Is this a week where you think that Kyle Pitts can kind of get a little bit more on track with what folks drafted him early and what they were really kind of expecting to get?
Yeah, I think so. From a DFS perspective, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He's $6,200 on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, he's $4,900. So to me, he's more in play on DraftKings here. And if you bear with me, let me bring up what I have my projections for Kyle Pitts this week. I have him for about 6 or 7 targets. He'll catch 4 or 5 of those, about 50 yards, and that's about it. As it stands so far, he averages about 11.5 yards a reception here. And I love the idea of Kyle Pitts catching his first ever professional touchdown this week here. So yeah, Kyle Pitts is in play. And if you look at seasonal formats, in most cases, he was a top 3, top 5 overall selection in rookie drafts. And then in seasonal formats, you'd had to grab him in the 3rd, 4th round if you wanted any chance of having Pitts on your roster. So if you have Kyle Pitts in your seasonal formats, you're going to play him. You're kind of like between a rock and a hard place here. If you're not going to play Kyle Pitts, who do you have that you feel more comfortable, giving the bump to over Kyle Pitts? So, I mean, Kyle Pitts is in play week in and week out here. I think he kind of delivers finally in week 3.
Yeah. That was one of those that was one that I've kind of got circled here on my matchup slate to kind of look and see as far as what his production is going to look like, because he does have a favorable matchup. I think the Falcons have started to kind of gel as far as what they're going to do when they're on the offensive side of the ball here, to the point where now they've got a defensive matchup where we can really kind of see how that might look and work a little bit more. So it's definitely an interesting one for me. And this is one that I've got it slated a little bit higher scoring than what you were talking about there. I see the Falcons getting and touching in about 24 points, but I do see the Giants up there right around about 32 points. So I see this one being almost a track meet, kind of back and forth, and it's going to be a high scoring affair as far as how I see this one, with not a lot of overall defense played. So this one should be if you like offensive side of the ball, this one should be an interesting one to watch, and definitely some guys, and you already mentioned it, so I won't beleaguer the point there, but definitely a game worth watching here. Any other thoughts?
No, I think I've gotten a lot of questions so far about Mike Davis or player B. I'm going to fade Mike Davis in most cases, of course. If it's Mike Davis or just give me a player like Alexander Mattinson, obviously it's Mattinson. So just be mindful. I'm fading Mike Davis in just about every format I can get my hands on.
Yeah, they were talking that might be about a 60-40 split between him and Cordell Patterson. So it could be very interesting there. And for everybody out there watching, listening, we do appreciate you tuning in. If you guys have start-sit type of questions, you guys have fantasy questions, DFS questions, throw them out there in the chat. One of the things I will just kind of preface this one is they did change one of the formats with us on the comments there. So if you're on Twitter, make sure that you throw in the comments out there. It may take me a little bit longer to get to those than I normally would, but I will get to your questions and we'll answer those things as well. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Let's go ahead and head up to one of the matchups I have kind of slated on this one, and that is your hometown team, your Detroit Lions here. They're playing the Baltimore Ravens. Now, this is one of those that in the early season, folks may have not, outside of Detroit and outside of Baltimore, may not have been overly interested in this game, but your Lions have proven very good here, kind of above expectations as far as what I was thinking of what this team was capable of doing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Dan Campbell has this team kind of fired up, and they're playing with some intensity, and that's very fun to see. So this one has the Ravens favored by about 8 points. You're looking where the over-under on this one set at 50 points. And I can see this one also turning into a little bit of a higher scoring affair as well. And I do see the Lions keeping this closer. And this is one of those that from a matchup perspective, I'm absolutely loving this game on both sides of the ball, because you've got kind of strength against weakness on each side of the ball there. With the Ravens, they really move the ball running it, whether it's through Lamar, whether it's through the running backs. And Detroit has given up several points to the running back position and on the ground there, where they're actually the most favorable team in the league to play if you're a running back as far as the matchup goes. And a lot of that is last week and Aaron Jones kind of skewing that a little bit. So the other thing that's going to play out there is, we got a visitor. All right, buddy. So so that's one of the awesome things there is the fact that they're going to move the ball very well on the ground that I see on this one. So Tyson Williams is very intriguing to me. Latavius Murray is very intriguing to me. Lamar Jackson, of course, is a very, very intriguing play. So I can see some big things there. On the other side of the ball, right? Detroit has moved the ball very well through TJ Hawkinson. So that's one of those that I'm really looking forward to play there. And it's one of those that he's kind of creeped up as far as the rankings and are some of the DFS plays that I've seen on there. But I do think that he's going to absolutely just have a very, very good and big game. And if you're the Lions, you have a template to look back for with the Ravens, because the Ravens have kind of gone through a gauntlet here in the early season as far as tight end plays, where week 1 they see Darren Waller, they see Travis Kelce here in week 2, and now they've got TJ Hawkinson here. So you've got kind of the 3 highest scoring tight ends as far as fantasy goes that they've had to go up against each week here. But what are some of your thoughts here as far as how this game kind of progresses and what you see going on here?
Well, it's not going to be good from a Detroit Lions perspective. From a real life standpoint here, I have Baltimore winning, 41-42 to 17. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Lions put up 21 or 24 points in this one. So from a Baltimore Ravens standpoint, obviously start them all. Huge, massive implications from point totals. But I want to get into the DFS side of things from a Lions perspective. Jared Goff on FanDuel is $7,100. On DraftKings, he's only $5,200. Now, Baltimore is 28th overall against opposing quarterbacks. I think given the negative game script from a Lions perspective here, I think you can pencil in Jared Goff for like 300 total passing yards, a couple touchdowns. I'm looking for TJ Hawkinson to command just a massive target share. I think the one shocking thing here will be when Quintez Cephas plays well, like better than expected, puts up 100 yards and a touchdown. They target him early and often. You're looking at 7 or 8 targets for Cephas. This kid is big. I believe he's 6'4". He's a commanding presence in the red zone. And I believe this week now in week 3 is we're going to start to see the blow up, or not the blow up, but the breakthrough of Cephas in this offense where he's targeted early and often. They look to him in the red zone. They throw him a jump ball. If you look back through the years, the Detroit Lions have always had one of those wide receivers, right? They had, obviously Herman Moore. They had Calvin Johnson, Roy Williams, and it was Kenny Golladay. And now who's going to be that next kid to step up? I firmly believe it's Quintez Cephas. And if you look at his price here, he's only $5,300 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's $3,800. And Baltimore's 25th overall against opposing wide receivers. So I love the idea of a Jared Goff, Quintez Cephas, TJ Hawkinson, and Jamal Williams at running back kind of move here in a game script where everybody's looking one way. Everybody's going to be on the Baltimore Ravens, but we can make some sort of hay here, as they say, Derek, with the Detroit Lions side of the ball.
Right, and that's one of the things I actually am a little bit more bullish on your Detroit Lions, I think, than you are as far as how many points they put up, because I see this one being a little bit closer. The Ravens are banged up on the defensive side of the ball. It's one of those that they haven't looked as dominant as what we had expected this Baltimore Ravens defense coming into the season on that one. So I like the ability for the Lions to keep it close on this one. I don't see it being to a point where they're going to win, things like that, but I do see them being able to challenge the spread on this one and keep it a little bit closer. And I do see this kind of being a little bit of a track meet as far as points go. And so yeah, from those aspects, I like that. What are your thoughts on another name that I've been seeing a lot this week is Marquise Hollywood Brown? What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, very much in play. I mean, I love the guy. I think this is going to be one of those patented Hollywood Brown games where he gets loose for like a 70, 80-yard touchdown here. And we always cling to that fact that, remember, if you look ahead, like rewind a little bit and you look prior to our drafts, everybody was, well, this is the year for Hollywood Brown. They compared him to McCole Hardman. Those two were in tandem here. And we always hold hope for a player like that because of what we've seen him do before. So after week 3 at about 1 o'clock here, Hollywood Brown will have that home run type hitting game here, and we're back where we started. Hollywood Brown is a top 15 wide receiver. He does this, he's fantastic, and then he just toils away back in obscurity. So again, he doesn't do us any favors, Hollywood Brown that is, when he has one of these games, and we're always clinging to the hope. Kind of like when you're dating a girl, or if you're with a man, and they're very good the first few months of your relationship, and then it gets really bad and toxic, but you always hold on to that fact that, well, it was good at one time. So Hollywood Brown is going to bring us flowers. He is going to bring us candy here in week 3. And we're going to float away into the whole Hollywood Brown is a stud wide receivers player. So yeah, I love him this weekend. $6,600 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's only $5,600. Lions are, I believe, 18th overall against opposing wide receivers. So give me all the Hollywood Brown.
All right. Awesome. Love it. What matchup do you want to head to next?
I want to go to your hometown team, the New York Football Jets. Go to the Denver Broncos here. Over-under in this one is about at 41.5. When it opened, it was at 41, so it's been bumped up a point. That means the Sharps have come in on the over. Rightfully so. The Jets are getting 10 points in Denver, and I think they're going to need, they could serve by getting 20 points. I think the Denver Broncos win about 31 or 34-10 in this one. My favorite stack, it's probably my second or third overall favorite stack of the entire slate here. Very low owned, very under the radar. It's Teddy Bridgewater. I love Cortland Sutton in there, and then I love Noah Fant. So if you're going to get that three-headed Denver Broncos stack, Teddy B, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, and then I wouldn't mind throwing in Michael Carter, who's only $4,900 on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings, Michael Carter is, let me bring it up. I have so many screens open. Michael Carter's $4,600 here on DraftKings. From a start and sit perspective, I can kind of say, any and all Denver Broncos are in play. I'm going to fade and I'm going to sit Zach Wilson. I believe that the Denver Broncos make life a living hell for the rookie this week in Mile High. They're going to have the oxygen tanks going. I mean, look at what the New York Football Giants did last week in terms of their offensive line. You could drive a Mack truck through that offensive line, boom, and a straight beeline right to Zach Wilson. So I'm fading any and all New York Jets, aside from Michael Carter, as I said, if I have to. If you're playing a single game slate, you have to kind of have, a one player from each team. So as I said, Teddy B, Sutton, Fant, and then Michael Carter here, Derek.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm completely out on all Jets pass catchers on this one for every reason that you just mentioned. Also coupling the fact that Denver has a terrific secondary. So even if Zach Wilson is getting the ball out, I don't know that those receivers are going to get very nice opportunities to try and catch the ball. One of the Broncos players that I'm very interested in seeing the progression on what he did last week is Tim Patrick. One of those that he's a big body receiver that once the Broncos get down there in the red zone type of thing, wouldn't surprise me if he falls into the end zone with a touchdown, because of the fact that he very well kind of is that forgotten guy when the Broncos get in the red zone, because you've got to shift the coverage to Cortland Sutton. You've got to shift the coverage to Noah Fant. And there's only so many guys that you have in the secondary to try and cover somebody. So inevitably it seems like Tim Patrick kind of gets loose on one of those plays and is wide open in the end zone. So would not surprise me to see Tim Patrick put up a touchdown and have a pretty decent showing for fantasy here, because I could see him, probably 4 or 5 catches for probably about 40, 50 yards and a touchdown is really how I kind of see his stat line playing out there as well. So I'm not as bullish on the Broncos scoring that many points as you are. I think I'm going to see this game probably end about 27-14 is how I've got that going. But because I think the Broncos in the second half are just going to kind of ground and pound and chew clock is how I see this one playing out. But I absolutely love all of those plays that you're putting up there. So let's go ahead and head on over, unless you have any other thoughts on this one.
No, I'm good. Tim Patrick, really quick, since you brought him up, he's only $5,200 on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings, he is $4,900. I have him for about 3 or 4 catches, 50 yards, and I'm with you. Tim Patrick will find the end zone today.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go ahead and head over to another divisional matchup here, and that's the Colts and the Titans. The Indianapolis Colts heading to Tennessee. This is an interesting one. We just got word that Carson Wentz is going to be active in this game, which actually, increases my outlook on Michael Pittman here. This was one of those that Michael Pittman, coming off that big game last week, was a little leery on, start him, sit him. Carson Wentz back there, I'm going to play him. I do think that you'll see some of that continue. Tennessee's secondary is not very good. They give their young secondary tends to have a lot of holes in that. So I could see Michael Pittman just feasting all day today. And again, probably, well into the double-digit targets, probably seeing with 7-8 catches, right around 100 yards and about a touchdown in there as well. So I see very big things coming from him as well on the Tennessee side of the ball, right? Like this one, again, continues to be a little bit of a get-right game for them, where you're going to see Derrick Henry just feast. They went back to their roots last week and just let Derrick Henry run all over everybody, which opens up the offense. And I think that continues to happen, where you're going to see Derrick Henry early and often all game long, which will set up the play action pass. And hopefully we'll see A.J. Brown hang on to a few more of those passes this week, where that was a little bit of some dropsies happening last week. But I think he corrects that, and you're going to see probably at least one big over-the-top type of touchdown play from A.J. Brown this week. And on the Indianapolis Colts as well, I see a similar game script. Like this is going to be a lot of kind of run, ground and pound, and then try and go over the top is how I see this one playing out on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention, and we can move on here. It's the tight ends. It's the Colts tight ends here. Jack Doyle, $4,800 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's $3,400. And then Mo Alley Cox, $4,600 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, Mo Alley is $2,600. Now, here's the thing. the Tennessee Titans are dead last. They're 32nd overall against defending the tight ends. I'm not even kidding when I say I could see a case where both tight ends find the end zone in this one. And look, in bottom of the barrel, I went out on a massive limb. I don't know anybody talking this way. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm crazy. But who's to say Mo Alley Cox doesn't throw a touchdown to Jack Doyle? Can you imagine if that happens? I would be the smartest man alive. Regardless of who throws the touchdown, I firmly believe that Jack Doyle does find the end zone this weekend.
I like it. Yeah, that's and when you're talking touchdown dependent tight ends, if you're calling touchdowns, that's where you can make some hay on that one. So I like it. I like it a lot. What's the game that you want to head to next?
I want to go right to Las Vegas. You know, their new stadium. It's fantastic. It's brand new. And let's not forget to talk about the Raiders. The Raiders look great. They have some sort of magic going on, you know, in that stadium with these players. Derek Carr has been playing out of his mind. He's just been racking up, you know, passing yards. And I love the idea of Henry Ruggs III, who's only $5,600 on FanDuel, and he's $5,200 on DraftKings. I have this game going, you know, the Vegas Raiders way. You know, we know Jacoby Brissett, is the starting quarterback. Tua's on the shelf. He's got some rib injuries here. So regardless of who the quarterback is in Miami, I have the Vegas Raiders putting up about 30 points, and Miami only about 14 or 17 points in here. And Miami's getting 3.5 points. I mean, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out and I'm talking fast. It's because I'm excited for this game. I love the idea of Josh Jacobs looks to be inactive. I've been broadcasting this whole time. I haven't checked. Last I looked, Josh Jacobs was highly unlikely to play this weekend. And for that case, I love the idea of getting both Kenyon Drake and Peyton Barber in our lineups today. And you can laugh at me all you want. I have Peyton Barber for about 14 or 15 carries. I have Drake for about 4 or 5 catches in this one. So I know it's shocking, but if you're in the Millie Maker or you're in any sort of big GPP on FanDuel, you got to get crazy. You got to get weird. And Kenyon Drake, $5,500 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's $5,700. Barber, only $5,600 on FanDuel, and Barber's only $4,300 on DraftKings. So of this game, I love both Raiders running backs more so than anything. Call me crazy. We'll see how it pans out.
Absolutely. No, I like it. That's a similar kind of game script as far as what I'm seeing there. One of the things that one of the guys that you didn't mention there was Brian Edwards on that one. And this is one of those that I'm continuing to watch him to see if that breakout kind of continues that we saw in week one, on that very back half of week one there, and see what that kind of looks like there. But he's a guy that, if nothing else, I'm keeping an eye on for my watch list, potential waiver wire ads for season long type of things. I don't know that he's worth a play in DFS, but what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Brian, if you look at what his price tag is, Brian Edwards he's $5,100 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's only $3,800. So to me, Derek, I would prefer Brian Edwards in DraftKings, because if you look at the price tag on FanDuel, as I said, $5,100, there is just a laundry list of other wide receivers in that price range of Brian Edwards that I'd prefer to have him here. So the breakout, hopefully, great. That'd be fantastic if we get a dual breakout in Brian Edwards and Henry Ruggs III here. But one thing I will say on DraftKings, Brian Edwards, it's not going to cost you a ton of money. And FanDuel, a little bit more pricey. But look, here's the thing. The ownership percentages on both sites for Brian Edwards are so minuscule, where if he does anything of note, it's going to boost you up. If he lays an egg and, just 2 receptions for 30 yards, it's not going to kill your lineup. So to me, Brian Edwards is that perfect high risk, high reward kind of thing for me in week 3.
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's go ahead and head over to Kansas City and the stadium they call Arrowhead, unless you have any other thoughts on that one.
No, I'm good. We covered it more so than I think anybody was willing to listen.
Fair enough. All right, let's go ahead and head over to Arrowhead, and that's in Kansas City. The Chargers come to town over there, and the line on that one's about 6.5 points, where the Chiefs are favored, a 54.5 over-under type of game there. And this one is going to be closer than I think that spread is, and it actually wouldn't surprise me to see the Chargers pull out a win here on this one. Kansas City's defense has been very poor and porous this entire season. The offense hasn't necessarily looked great to the point where they're putting teams away like we've come to expect from the Kansas City Chiefs over the last couple of years. And the Chargers are a good enough team that if you let them hang around in this game, I could see them putting a final shot up and end up winning this one. So it's it's kind of a topsy-turvy world when, and one of the thoughts that I've been kind of kicking around this whole week is, who would have called it? Should this play out this way? Who would have called it where the Broncos and the Raiders are 3-0, the Chargers are 2-1, and the Chiefs are 1-2, 2 games back in the division, 3 weeks into the matchup? Nobody would have called that one. And so that's one of those that's very interesting. And there's a lot of intrigue for me in this game, especially being a Broncos fan here. But as far as the players concerned, as far as some of that kind of goes, obviously if you've got your usual suspects on Kansas City, you're going to start them, right? Like your big three, you spent the early draft capital on them. They're playing very well. I think that this is going to be a track meet type of game where, it wouldn't surprise me to see each one of these teams with 30 plus points on the scoreboard when it's all said and done. Same thing with the Chargers, right? You're going to play your usual suspects in here. And it's one of those that this could be, and this is one of those that I'm going to be watching this game heavily to see how CEH is really utilized, right? Like he's a pass catching kind of back that hasn't really been involved in the pass catching. And at least that was the narrative that coming out of college that, 2 seasons or a season and a couple of games into his career here hasn't really been utilized that way. So that's one of those that I'm very interested to see how that looks and works. And is this one of those that Kansas City can establish a run game in this one as well? It looks like the Chargers have a lot of defensive pieces that are going to be active that were questionable, Joey Bosa being one of those. So, if you're going to beat the Chiefs, it's going to be getting after the quarterback and getting after Patrick Mahomes. And they've got some of the pieces to that engine to get after that. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I love both sides of the football here. That's no surprise. Now, the over-under in this one, let me find it.
It's 54 and a half.
Yeah, well, it opened at 55,
yeah.
So it came down a point here. I fully expect the Chargers to win by only 3 or 4, meaning I would choose Kansas City to win. The Chargers to cover here. Chargers are getting 7. And in terms of the plays here from both FanDuel and DraftKings perspectives, I love the idea of getting Jalen Guyton in our lines. He's $4,700 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he is only $3,200. I could see a case here where, not in seasonal formats, absolutely not, but in DFS circles, I might temper my expectations with Tyreek Hill. He's $8,700 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's $8,400. Now, we've seen that last week that the Rams kind of took, it wasn't the Rams, excuse me, but they kind of took Tyreek Hill out of the game here. So is there some sort of blueprint for the Chargers here? And it's kind of a pick your poison, Derek. If you take, Hill out of the game, then you get a ton of yardage from Travis Kelce and vice versa here. So in seasonal format, starter sit stuff, you're starting all these players here. But from a betting perspective, I'm going Chargers +7, and I love the idea. I can't stress it enough of Jalen Guyton in DFS formats.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one. We do have a question coming in from YouTube. Kevin is asking, in a full PPR, Kenyon Drake or Chase Edmonds as his flex play?
Oh, well,
what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, let's run down my projections real quick if I have the moment here. Sure. I have Kenyon Drake at about 10 carries, 45 yards, couple receptions, maybe another 30 yards here. And when it comes to Chase Edmonds, I have him, drum roll, I have him for just a little bit more. He's got a few less carries, but he does a little bit more on the ground. He has another reception or so. So to me, it's close, but I'm giving the edge to Chase Edmonds, and it's only, by like the slightest of margins in terms of receptions and reception yardage. So I'm going with Chase Edmonds here.
Yeah, I like the Chase Edmonds play as well. I'm very interested to see how the Raiders are going to use Kenyon Drake with Josh Jacobs potentially being out there. And what that split's going to really look like as far as between him and Peyton Barber. I'm pretty close to how you see that one as well. Chase Edmonds and this Arizona game, I see them absolutely running away. They're playing the Jaguars, who, again, I see this game being pretty well over at halftime. And that one was a 52-point over-under that I don't know that you're going to be able to, that the Cardinals are going to be able to score enough total points to be able to put that all together to get to the over on that one. Because I don't think the Jags are able to put up more than 7 to 10 points in this game. So it's going to be one of those that the game script is going to start favoring the run game in the second half of that game is kind of how I see that. It's one of those that DeAndre Hopkins is a little banged up. He's going to be active, but if the Cardinals are up big, I could see them starting to put a lot of run game in there and starting to play a lot of the kind of the backup receivers, things like that, where you may see Chase Edmonds get even a few more targets in that narrative, in that game script there in passing play type of thing. So it could be very interesting, and I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds. I've got him by about 4 spots right now as far as my rankings go for a flex. So I like that play as well. What other thoughts do you got for some of these games?
Nothing. Just just throw out the players in the games. Just stop and relax today. Disconnect from your phone and your computer. Just really realize what's more important, and that's the connections of your friends and your family and your health and your mental health overall. So rest. Don't look to start trouble. Just relax. I can't stress that enough. Week 3 is here, and just enjoy it. We all wished and we hoped and we prayed for NFL with all the pandemic news, and it's here. We're just starting to. We're about to hit our stride in terms of NFL. So we have to take care of our bodies, our minds, and our souls. So rest, relax, eat some nachos, eat some wings. Tell those around you how much they really, truly, you feel about them. And that's just about it, Derek.
I like it. Absolutely, guys. Right. Like there's some things that come along that put some perspective into life. And, one of those being that kind of being the case where, you've got to just take some time and sit back and look at what's truly important there. Fantasy football is a lot of fun, and that's where it needs to stay. It needs to be a lot of fun. And if you're not having fun while doing it, you're doing it wrong on that one. So I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. We've got another question coming in here. How do you think OBJ will do this week? I have him as a wide receiver too. I also have DJ Chark and Christian Kirk on my bench. Yeah, I think that's probably a smart move with the DJ Chark, but I'm probably putting Christian Kirk into this game for a lot of that narrative that I just gave, where I think that Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, we may even see an Andy Isabella sighting this week in that game, just because I think the Cardinals will be up so much. So I like that one. But OBJ, I'm a guy coming back off of a major injury. I'm going to wait and see for at least a week or two and see how he looks, see how he plays. Because we saw that in week 1 with Cortland Sutton, who also was coming off of an ACL type of thing, where he looked, and through the preseason, he also looked a little hesitant, making some of those cuts, making some of those things. And sometimes it takes playing a game and fully, understanding what that injury looks like and feels like after the game, and understanding where you can play through that and where you can't. And so at that point, I'm probably going to take a wait and see approach on OBJ this week. I'm not overly big on him in any format.
No,
what are your thoughts on this?
You couldn't pay me to play Odell Beckham in seasonal formats, DFS formats. I'm a wait and see, but my mind is already made up. Odell Beckham's best days of professional football are behind him. He's better suited not on my team. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get nasty or rude here, Derek.
Fair enough. I'm kind of right there with you. I'm very well on the record that OBJ and that fit in that Cleveland offense is still one of those that I'm waiting to see how this really looks and works. So I'm a big fan of the Baker's talent, big fan of what Stefanski's put in there as far as an offense goes, but I will absolutely be taking a wait and see approach this week and probably next week before I'm even considering looking at OBJ in any type of play there. The only way that I will play him is if I'm decimated by injuries, and that's my last kind of option there. But that also brings me to another kind of thought there, a guy that we didn't necessarily hit on, really touch on a ton. That's Will Fuller, who will be his first game back from suspension and a personal issue that kept him out in week 2 there. Any thoughts on Will Fuller?
Same thing as Odell Beckham with Will Fuller. This guy, when he's on the field and healthy, he's fantastic. But that's the thing. He's rarely on the field. He's rarely healthy. So I guess, to be honest with you here, Derek, this week right now would be the best time to use him. I have him for about 5 or 6 targets, 4 receptions, about 50 yards, and that's about it. This Miami Dolphins team was full of piss and vinegar to start the season. They're ready. They built this team to win now. well, and it's all just come crumbling down, it seems, in Miami here. So I'm fading Will Fuller in seasonal formats and in DFS circles. But again, I get the excitement of finally having Will Fuller the fifth, Will Fuller V, as they call him, being happy and happy, I don't know, but healthy, sure. But to me, he's a full fade to me.
I like it. All right, last question for you. What is on the game day plate for the snacks and the food today?
Sure, I'm going to record my Sunday Night Football DFS video, and then I'm going to get nachos going. But I'm going to make them untraditionally. Instead of tortilla chips, that's going to be, well done kind of tater tots. Put the liquid nacho cheese on them, the shredded nacho cheese. I have all the fixings, guacamole, sour cream, black olives, jalapenos, and go from there. So I'm going to make them, seriously, in a large pizza box. So there's going to be plenty of nachos to go around. And to be fair, Derek, I'm the only one here, so I can just lay on the floor with nachos on my chest and my stomach. Beastie might come up. She likes sour cream, but they're all on me to eat, and I'm gladly take on the task.
I like it. For me, it's going to be a lot of pizza and wings again this week. That's kind of my go-to for Sunday. So, guys, one of those that if you got a favorite meal you want to share with us, hit it up, throw those in the comments. We appreciate that. But guys, I do think that that's going to take us down to the end here. Chris, any final thoughts for the viewers and listeners?
No, thanks for having me here. And I can't, stress enough. Stop, relax, and rest. Smell the roses. This is week 3. Tell your family and friends how you really feel about them. Quit with the grudges. Quit with the negativity. It's non-productive. It's counterproductive. So let's take a step forward to just be nicer and kinder, and you'll thank yourself for it down the line.
Absolutely. Some very sage advice and definitely worth listening to and acting upon. Thank you for that one. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. And guys, the Good Old Boys do a show live every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Tuesdays and Fridays, we're live at 11 p.m. Eastern. Sunday mornings, 11:45 a.m. Eastern. And we're happy to answer any of the start sit type of questions, answer any of your fantasy questions. You can find Chris Detroit Beastie at Twitter. Where else can the folks find you and find your content?
You could find me at Team Riser Fall. And to be honest, Derek, I can't believe this is literally Beastie's first ever live appearance on any show. She's going to scratch the heck out of me here soon. Yep, right there. But here we are. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. And all of my work, is at Team Riser Fall.
I love it. And I'm glad we got the guest appearance there. My kiddo came in here earlier on that as well. And that was his first ever appearance. So an episode of first. I like it. So
love it.
Absolutely a lot of fun. He's Chris. I'm Derek. We'll be back next Sunday, 11:45 a.m. Eastern. Have a great one. Take care of yourselves. Be safe.